The phone rang at exactly 2:47 p.m. My daughter's voice cracked through the speaker, raw with terror. "Dad, they are taking Max. Karen called the police. She told them he is dangerous. They have a truck. They are putting him in a cage." My blood turned to ice water. I was 40 minutes away, stuck in the middle of an emergency call that could not wait. Through the phone, I heard Karen's shrill voice in the background, playing victim for the responding officers. "That animal has been a menace to this neighborhood for months. The owner is never home. Someone is going to get hurt." Every word was a lie, every single word. My hands gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. Karen had been planning this. She waited until I left for work. She waited until my teenage daughter was alone. She waited until she thought she could win. But Karen made one critical mistake. She did not know I would abandon everything to protect my family. That is when I realized I had exactly 4 minutes to save my daughter's dog. My name is Detective Mike Harrison. For the past 8 years, I have worked the streets as a police officer in Riverside County. For the past 3 years, I have been a single father to my 16-year-old daughter Emma. And for the past year, we have been living our dream on a small ranch property that represents everything I have worked for. The ranch sits on 2 acres at the edge of Meadowbrook Estates. It is not much by most standards. A modest 3-bedroom house, a small barn, and enough space for Emma to keep her rescue horse, Buttercup. But to us, it is paradise. Every extra shift I worked, every weekend I gave up, every sacrifice I made was for this place. Emma found Max at the county shelter 3 years ago. He was a German Shepherd mix, barely 2 years old, with scars on his face and fear in his eyes. The shelter workers said he had been abused. They were not sure he could ever trust humans again. Emma looked at that broken dog and saw herself. We had just gone through a brutal divorce. We were both healing from wounds that do not show on the outside. She begged me to adopt him. I said yes, even though money was tight and I was working double shifts just to keep us afloat. Max became more than a pet. He became Emma's therapy, her protector, her best friend. Watching them heal together was the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. Then Karen moved into the neighborhood. Karen Williams bought the house across the street 6 months ago. Within 2 weeks, she was elected to the HOA board. Within a month, she was filing complaints. Our fence was 6 inches too tall. Our mailbox did not match the approved color scheme. Max barked too much. Emma's horse was creating odors. Every complaint was petty. Every complaint was legal. Every complaint was designed to wear us down. I tried to be reasonable. I lowered the fence. I repainted the mailbox. I installed soundproofing in the barn. But Karen was not interested in compromise. She was interested in control. She made it clear that properties like ours did not belong in her vision of the perfect neighborhood. The morning of October 15th started like any other. Emma was getting ready for school. Max was chasing rabbits in the backyard. I was drinking coffee and reviewing case files before my shift started at 10 a.m. Then my phone rang. Officer Rodriguez was sick with the flu. They needed me to cover his emergency call immediately. A domestic violence situation that could not wait. I looked at Emma across the breakfast table. She was 17 now, mature and responsible. She had handled being alone before. "I have to go in early," I told her. "Emergency call." She smiled and scratched Max behind the ears. "We will be fine, Dad. Max will protect me." I kissed her forehead and grabbed my gear. As I backed out of the driveway, I saw Karen watching from her front window. She was holding a clipboard and wearing that cold smile I had learned to fear. I should have stayed home. I should have called in sick. I should have known that Karen was waiting for exactly this moment. But I did not know, not yet. The emergency call took me to the other side of town. A woman was barricaded in her bathroom while her ex-boyfriend tried to break down the door. These calls do not wait. They cannot wait. I was coordinating with the crisis team when I saw Karen's car pull into her driveway through my rearview mirror. But that was 40 minutes ago, and 40 minutes away from home. Karen did not waste time. The moment my patrol car disappeared around the corner, she made her move. She had been planning this for weeks. The clipboard was filled with photographs of Max in our yard, printed copies of city ordinances about dangerous animals, a petition signed by 3 neighbors who probably did not even read what they were signing. At exactly 11:30 a.m., Karen walked across the street to our front door. She was not alone. Mrs. Peterson from 2 houses down followed behind her, looking uncomfortable but compliant. Behind them came Bob Martinez, the HOA treasurer, carrying an official-looking folder. Emma was in the kitchen making lunch when she heard the knock. Through the window, she could see Karen's severe face and the small crowd gathering on our front porch. "Can I help you?" Emma asked politely when she opened the door. She had been raised to be respectful to adults, even adults who made our lives difficult. Karen did not waste time with pleasantries. "Where is your father?" "He is at work," Emma replied. "Is there something I can help you with?" Karen's eyes lit up with satisfaction. "Your dog attacked my cat this morning. He jumped our fence and tried to kill Snowball. This has gone too far." Emma's face went pale. "That is not true. Max has been in our backyard all morning. He is sleeping on the porch right now." "Are you calling me a liar?" Karen's voice rose to the volume she used at HOA meetings when she wanted to intimidate people. "I am not calling you anything," Emma said firmly. "But Max did not attack your cat. He has never left our property without a leash." Karen turned to her followers with theatrical outrage. "Do you see this? This is the attitude we have been dealing with. No accountability, no responsibility." Bob Martinez shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe we should wait for her father to get home." "Absolutely not," Karen snapped. "That animal is a danger to this community. I have been documenting incidents for months. Look at these photos." She shoved the clipboard toward Emma. The photos showed Max barking at the fence when neighborhood kids walked by. Max running in our yard during his daily exercise. Max lying peacefully in the sun, which Karen had labeled as aggressive stalking behavior. "These do not show anything wrong," Emma said, her voice getting stronger. "These show a normal dog being a dog on his own property." "A normal dog does not have scars like that." Karen pointed toward the house where Max was visible through the screen door. "Those are fighting scars. That is a trained attack dog." Emma's hand started shaking, not from fear but from anger. "Those scars are from abuse. We rescued him from the shelter. He is the gentlest dog in the world." "Save your sob story for someone who believes it," Karen said coldly. "I am calling animal control and the police. This ends today." Emma stepped forward, her father's training kicking in. "You are on private property. I am asking you to leave." Karen smiled like a shark sensing blood in the water. "I am a concerned citizen reporting a dangerous animal. I have every right to be here." She pulled out her phone and started dialing. Emma could only watch through the screen door as Karen began her performance for the dispatcher. "Yes, this is Karen Williams at 1247 Meadowbrook Drive. I need to report an immediate public safety threat. There is a dangerous dog that just attacked my pet. The owner is absent and the animal is being supervised by a minor. Yes, I will stay on the line." Emma felt the world tilting sideways. She knew her rights. She knew the law, but she also knew that sometimes being right is not enough when you are 17 years old and facing down 3 adults who have already made up their minds. Max came to the door, sensing Emma's distress. His tail wagged gently as he looked at the strangers on his porch. Even through the screen, anyone could see he was calm and friendly. Karen saw him too, and she smiled. My phone buzzed during the crisis negotiation. I almost ignored it. Protocol says you do not take personal calls during active emergencies, but something made me glance at the screen. Emma, my daughter, never called during school hours unless something was seriously wrong. I need 2 minutes, I told my partner and stepped away from the scene. Dad, her voice was shaking. Karen is here with the HOA people. She said Max attacked her cat. She called the police. Dad, they are coming to take Max. The world stopped moving. Every sound around me faded to white noise except Emma's voice. Slow down, I said, fighting to keep my voice calm. Tell me exactly what happened. She came to the door with Mrs. Peterson and Mr. Martinez. She said Max jumped the fence and attacked Snowball. Dad, that is not true. Max has been sleeping on the porch all morning. I have been watching him. My free hand clenched into a fist. Karen had been planning this. She waited until I was gone. She waited until Emma was alone. She waited until she could spin her lies without interference. She has pictures, Dad, pictures of Max in our yard. She says they prove he is dangerous. She says he has fighting scars and that makes him an attack dog. I felt something cold and sharp twist in my chest. Those scars were from Max's abuse before we rescued him. Karen was using his trauma as evidence against him. Dad, are you there? I am here, sweetheart. Listen to me very carefully. Do not let them on the property. Do not sign anything. Do not agree to anything. Tell them you are a minor and they need to wait for me to come home. I already told them that. Karen said she does not care. She said this is about public safety and she has the right to protect the neighborhood. Through the phone, I could hear sirens in the distance, getting closer. The police are almost here, Emma whispered. Dad, what if they believe her? What if they take Max before you get home? I looked at the domestic violence scene behind me. The woman was still barricaded in the bathroom. Her ex-boyfriend was still threatening to kill her. My partner was still trying to talk him down. I could not leave. People's lives depended on me being here. But my daughter's heart was breaking 40 minutes away, and there was nothing I could do about it. Emma, record everything on your phone. Do not interfere with the officers, but document everything they say and do. Ask to see their warrant. Ask to see evidence of the alleged attack. Ask for their badge numbers and incident report number. Okay, she said, her voice getting steadier. Dad, I am scared. I know, baby, I know, but you are strong and you are smart. You know your rights. Do not let them intimidate you. The sirens were getting louder. Through the phone, I could hear car doors slamming, multiple vehicles. They are here, Emma said. There are 2 patrol cars and an animal control truck. My heart sank. Animal control meant they were serious about removing Max. If they had a truck, they were planning to take him immediately. Dad, Karen is talking to them. She is showing them her clipboard. She is pointing at our house. I could hear Karen's voice in the background, loud and dramatic, playing the victim, playing the concerned citizen, playing the role she had rehearsed for this exact moment. She is telling them Max is a trained fighting dog. She is saying you are never home and that I cannot control him. Dad, she is lying about everything. My radio crackled. The crisis situation behind me was escalating. I was needed. I was trapped between two emergencies and I could only handle one. Emma, I need you to be brave for just a little longer. I am going to make some calls. I am going to get there as fast as I can. How long? She asked, and I could hear tears in her voice. I looked at the scene behind me. The negotiation could take hours. The drive home would take 40 minutes minimum. I do not know, I admitted, but I promise you I will not let them take Max. I promise. I hung up and immediately called dispatch. This is Detective Harrison, badge number 4471. I need to speak to the responding officers at 1247 Meadowbrook Drive immediately. This is a personal emergency involving false reporting. But even as I made the call, I knew it might be too late. Karen had chosen her moment perfectly, and I was exactly where she wanted me to be. 40 minutes away and helpless to protect my family. I made the decision that would either save my career or destroy it. Rodriguez, I called to my partner. I have a family emergency. My daughter is in danger. I have to go. He looked at me like I had lost my mind. We were in the middle of an active crisis. You do not abandon your post. You do not leave your partner. You do not put personal problems ahead of public safety. But my daughter was 17 years old and facing down corrupt officials who were trying to steal her dog based on lies. If I did not get there soon, Max would disappear into the animal control system, and we might never see him again. Cover for me, I said, already running toward my patrol car. I will explain later. I hit the sirens and floored the accelerator. 40 minutes became 25 when you drive like your family's life depends on it. I radioed dispatch while weaving through traffic. This is Detective Harrison requesting immediate backup at 1247 Meadowbrook Drive. Officers on scene may be responding to false information. Homeowner is en route. Copy that, Detective. Are you requesting additional units? Negative. Just need current units to hold position until I arrive. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. They are putting Max in the truck. Dad, please hurry. I pushed the patrol car harder than I ever had before. Speed limits stopped mattering. Traffic laws stopped mattering. The only thing that mattered was getting to my daughter before Karen's lies became reality. I turned onto Meadowbrook Drive at 3:11 p.m. The scene looked like a small riot. 2 patrol cars with lights flashing. An animal control truck with its engine running. Karen standing in the center of it all with her clipboard, gesturing dramatically while talking to 3 uniformed officers. And there was Emma, standing on our front porch with tears streaming down her face, holding Max by his collar while an animal control officer approached with a catch pole. I did not park. I did not turn off the engine. I drove straight up onto Karen's perfectly manicured lawn and jumped out of the car in full uniform. The effect was immediate and electric. Officer Martinez was the first to recognize me. We had worked together for 3 years. His face went from professional authority to complete confusion in the span of 2 seconds. Mike, what are you doing here? Karen's expression went through an even more dramatic transformation. Surprise, then confusion, then something that looked like pure panic as she realized her carefully planned ambush had just been disrupted by someone she had not counted on. This is my house, I said calmly, walking toward the group with my badge clearly visible. This is my daughter. This is my dog. The other officers, Johnson and Williams, both knew me by reputation if not personally. They exchanged glances that said everything. They had been told they were responding to a dangerous animal complaint. They had not been told the dog belonged to a fellow officer. Mike, Officer Johnson said carefully, We got a call about an animal attack. Lady here says your dog went after her cat. I looked at Karen, who was now clutching her clipboard like a shield. Her face had gone pale under her makeup. Karen, I said with deadly calm, would you like to repeat that story, to my face this time? She opened her mouth, then closed it. For the first time since I had known her, Karen Williams was speechless. Emma ran down from the porch and threw her arms around me. Max followed, his tail wagging, completely oblivious to the drama surrounding him. He sniffed the officer's hands in his usual friendly manner, looking about as dangerous as a golden retriever. "Dad," Emma whispered, "she lied about everything. Max never left our yard. I have been watching him all day." Officer Martinez looked at Karen with growing suspicion. "Ma'am, you said this dog attacked your cat this morning. What time did this alleged attack occur?" Karen's eyes darted between the officers and me. She was trapped and she knew it. It was around 11 o'clock. "And where were you when this attack happened?" I asked. "I was in my house. I heard the commotion and looked outside." I pulled out my phone and showed the officers Emma's text messages. Time stamps showing she had been home all morning. Photos she had taken of Max sleeping peacefully on the porch. "Officers," I said formally, "I believe you have been given false information. I would like to file a complaint for harassment and false reporting." Karen's face turned red. "You cannot do this. You cannot use your badge to intimidate citizens. I have rights." "Yes, you do," I agreed. "You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. Because filing a false police report is a crime, Karen, and using emergency services to settle personal grudges is also a crime." The power dynamic had shifted completely. Karen was no longer the concerned citizen protecting her neighborhood. She was a person who had potentially committed multiple crimes, facing 3 police officers who were starting to understand they had been used. Officer Johnson stepped forward. "Ma'am, I think we need to have a more detailed conversation about what happened here today." Karen looked around desperately for support, but Mrs. Peterson and Bob Martinez had quietly retreated to the sidewalk, suddenly very interested in their phones. She was alone, and for the first time in months she was the one who was scared. The investigation that followed was swift and brutal. Officer Martinez ran Karen's name through the system while we stood in my driveway. What he found made everyone stop talking. "Mike," he said quietly, "she has 2 previous complaints filed against her in Riverside County, both for harassment, both involving animal control calls that were found to be unsubstantiated." Karen's face went white. Those were legitimate complaints. I was protecting those neighborhoods too. "Ma'am," Officer Johnson interrupted, "you said your cat was attacked this morning. Can you show us the injured animal?" For the first time since this whole nightmare began, Karen hesitated. She is hiding, she is traumatized." "We are going to need to see the cat," Johnson said firmly. "If there was an attack, there should be evidence, injuries, vet records." Emma stepped forward with her phone. "Dad, I recorded everything she said when she came to the door. I have it all on video." She played the recording for the officers. Karen's voice came through clearly, making accusations she could not prove, demanding entry to our property, refusing to wait for me to come home. But the most damaging part was what came next. Emma kept recording when the officers arrived. Karen's story to them was completely different from what she had told Emma at the door. "In this recording," I pointed out, "she tells my daughter the attack happened at 11:30 this morning. In her statement to you, she said it happened around 11:00. Now she is saying she does not remember the exact time. Officer Williams was taking notes. "Ma'am, inconsistencies in witness statements are serious red flags for us." Karen tried to regain control. "I want to file a complaint against this officer. He is using his position to intimidate me. He abandoned his post to come here and threaten a citizen." "Actually," I said calmly, "I responded to a call about false reporting and harassment of a minor. That falls under emergency response protocols." I pulled out my phone and called my supervisor. "Captain Rodriguez, this is Harrison. I need to report an incident involving false accusations against my family." "Yes, sir, I will file a full report." "No, sir, I do not believe there will be any disciplinary action needed." I hung up and looked at Karen. "My captain wants to speak with you about filing false reports. He takes that very seriously." The animal control officer, who had been silent through most of this, finally spoke up. "Detective, I have been watching your dog for the past 15 minutes. He has shown no signs of aggression, no defensive posturing, no territorial behavior. If this animal had been in a fight this morning, I would expect to see stress indicators." He knelt down and let Max sniff his hand. Max immediately rolled over for belly rubs. "This is not the behavior of a dangerous animal," he continued. "This is not even the behavior of an animal that has been in recent conflict." Karen tried one last desperate play. "He has fighting scars. Look at his face." Emma's eyes flashed with anger. "Those scars are from when he was abused before we rescued him. That is what makes this so horrible. You are using his trauma against him." Officer Martinez looked at Karen with open disgust. "Ma'am, you have filed multiple false reports in multiple jurisdictions. You have wasted emergency resources on personal vendettas. You have traumatized a minor child and attempted to have a family pet seized based on lies." "I want my lawyer," Karen said suddenly. "That is probably a good idea," Johnson agreed. "Because we are considering charges for filing false police reports, harassment, and abuse of emergency services." While the officers documented everything, neighbors began appearing from their houses. Word was spreading quickly through the HOA community that Karen's latest crusade had backfired spectacularly. Mrs. Chen from 3 houses down approached tentatively. "Officer, I need to tell you something. Karen asked me to sign a petition about that dog last week. I refused because I have never seen him behave aggressively. She told me if I did not sign, she would find violations at my house too." Bob Martinez, who had been hiding behind his car, finally found his courage. "She threatened me too. Said if I did not support her animal complaint, she would block my pool permit." More neighbors came forward. Each had a story about Karen's threats and intimidation tactics. Each had been afraid to speak up individually, but together they painted a picture of systematic abuse of power. The woman who had been Karen's biggest supporter, Mrs. Peterson, was the most damaging witness of all. "She told me yesterday that she was going to get rid of that dog one way or another," Peterson admitted. "She said she was tired of waiting for the perfect excuse. She said she was going to create one." Karen looked around at the circle of faces, all looking at her with mixtures of anger and disgust. Her reign of terror was over, and everyone knew it. "I want to go home," she said quietly. "That is not going to happen," Officer Johnson replied. "Not until we sort this out downtown." Karen was arrested at 4:47 p.m. on charges of filing false police reports, harassment, and abuse of emergency services. The handcuffs seemed to shrink her somehow, transforming her from neighborhood dictator to just another person who had broken the law. But the real revelations came in the days that followed. The police investigation uncovered a pattern that went back years. Karen had pulled similar stunts in 3 previous neighborhoods. In each case, she had targeted families who did not fit her vision of the perfect community. Pet owners, families with teenagers, anyone who dared to be different. In Phoenix, she had tried to have a veteran service dog removed by claiming it was not properly registered. In Denver, she had filed noise complaints against a family whose autistic child played in their backyard. In Sacramento, she had attempted to force the removal of a chicken coop that was completely legal under city ordinances. Each time, when her tactics failed or were exposed, she sold her house and moved on to terrorize a new community. Detective Sarah Kim, who handled the investigation, called me 3 days after Karen's arrest. "Mike, this woman is not just a neighborhood nuisance. She is a serial predator who uses HOA power and city regulations as weapons. We found dozens of files on her computer documenting her targets." She told me Karen had been building cases against 6 different families in our neighborhood. Emma and Max were just her latest victims. The HOA called an emergency meeting for that Sunday. I had never seen the community center so packed. Karen's arrest had given people permission to speak truth about months of fear and intimidation. Mrs. Chen stood up first. She threatened to report my garden for water violations if I did not support her campaign against the Harrison family. Bob Martinez followed. She told me she would block every permit I tried to file if I did not vote her way on the board. Family after family came forward with stories of Karen's threats and manipulation. The picture that emerged was of a person who had turned neighborhood leadership into personal dictatorship. The board voted unanimously to remove Karen from all positions and to implement new oversight policies to prevent future abuse of power. But the most satisfying moment came when the district attorney's office called. "Detective Harrison, we are going to prosecute this case to the full extent of the law. Your situation was the final piece of evidence we needed to establish a pattern of criminal behavior." Karen faced 6 months in jail and 2 years of probation. More importantly, she was ordered to pay restitution to all the families she had targeted and to perform 200 hours of community service. The judge who sentenced her was particularly harsh in his words. "Ms. Williams, you have used your position of trust to terrorize your neighbors and weaponize public services for personal vendettas. This behavior is not just wrong, it is criminal. It undermines the very foundations of community cooperation and mutual respect." My supervisor called me into his office the following Monday. "Harrison, I have been thinking about your response to this situation. You made a difficult choice, but you made the right choice. Protecting your family while maintaining your professional integrity shows exactly the kind of judgment we want in our officers." 6 weeks later, I was promoted to detective sergeant. Emma found the courage to speak at Karen's sentencing hearing. Standing at the podium in her school dress, she looked small but fierce. "What you did was not about dogs or property values," she told Karen. "It was about power. You wanted to hurt my family because we did not bow down to you, but you made me stronger. You taught me that bullies only win when good people stay silent." Karen looked up at Emma for just a moment. I thought I saw something that might have been shame cross her face, but it was gone too quickly to be sure. Outside the courthouse, Emma hugged Max tight. "We won, boy, we actually won." And for the first time in months, I believed that justice was still possible, even in HOA disputes. 6 months later, Meadowbrook Estates had transformed into the kind of community I had always hoped we could live in. The new HOA board, elected in an emergency vote after Karen's removal, implemented policies focused on collaboration rather than enforcement. Complaint procedures now required mediation before escalation. Board members faced term limits and regular performance reviews. The neighborhood newsletter, once filled with violation notices and stern warnings, now featured stories about community gardens, block parties, and neighbor helping neighbor. Mrs. Chen started a weekend farmers market in the community center parking lot. Bob Martinez organized monthly potluck dinners where families could get to know each other beyond property lines and fence disputes. Most surprisingly, Mrs. Peterson approached me 3 months after Karen's trial. "Detective Harrison, I owe you and Emma an apology. I let fear make me complicit in something I knew was wrong. Karen threatened to make trouble for my family if I did not support her complaints. I should have found the courage to speak up sooner." I shook her hand. "It takes courage to admit when we make mistakes. Thank you for saying that." Emma threw herself into school activities with renewed confidence. She joined the debate team, inspired by her experience standing up to authority and speaking truth in Karen's courtroom. Her first tournament topic was about citizens' rights versus community regulation. She won first place. Max became something of a neighborhood celebrity. Kids would stop by after school to pet him and hear stories about the day he was almost stolen by the HOA police. He seemed to understand his elevated status, wagging extra hard whenever children appeared at our fence. The best change was the return of peace to our little ranch. Emma could work with Buttercup without someone watching and documenting her every move. Max could play in the yard without being photographed as evidence of dangerous behavior. I could go to work without worrying that my absence would be used against my family. My promotion to detective sergeant came with new responsibilities and better pay. More importantly, it came with the respect of colleagues who had watched me handle an impossible situation with integrity. Captain Rodriguez pulled me aside on my first day in the new position. "Harrison, what you did during that Karen situation showed everyone what kind of officer you are. You protected your family without compromising your principles. You used your knowledge of the law to expose corruption rather than enable it. That is the kind of leadership we need more of." The legal consequences for Karen extended beyond criminal court. 3 families filed civil lawsuits against her for harassment and emotional distress. The HOA faced its own legal challenges for enabling her behavior, leading to new oversight requirements and insurance claims. Karen was ordered to attend anger management classes and community service training. Her 2 years of probation included restrictions on joining any HOA boards or community leadership positions. I heard she moved to another state after her probation ended. I hoped she had learned something from the experience, but I suspected she was probably looking for a new community to control. On a warm Saturday evening in April, Emma and I sat on the front porch watching Max chase fireflies in the yard. Buttercup grazed peacefully in the pasture beyond. The neighbor kids were playing street hockey, their laughter carrying across the quiet streets. "Dad," Emma said, "do you think what happened with Karen made our neighborhood better?" I considered the question carefully. I think it made people realize they have power when they stand together. Karen controlled everyone through fear and isolation. When people found the courage to support each other, her power disappeared. Emma scratched Max behind the ears. "I am glad we did not give up. I am glad we fought back." "Me too, sweetheart, me too." As the sun set behind the mountains, I felt something I had not experienced in months. Complete peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing you stood up for what was right, protected what mattered most, and helped create something better for everyone. Our little ranch was safe. Our family was stronger. Our community was healing. And sometimes, that is all the victory you need.